thank you, Commissioner. Yes, we were talking back there. He and I have been around a long time. Before Commissioner Sankey was in charge, he was the assistant and worked with us, and we spent a lot of time together. And as always, just greatly appreciate Greg, what he does. The unstable environment of college sports, and there's nobody better than him, and the steady hand that he has. And he's just been solid as a rock for a long time. Hard to imagine. This is my 12th. So been very blessed, very fortunate to be here. Great to be in Texas. Appreciate the plug on the bourbon. We're actually selling it here in Texas, and it's doing very well. So thank you to all you Texans that are buying RD1 spirits. We appreciate it. But again, I'm very familiar with Texas. Recruited here for a lot of years. Good to be back, obviously, with Oklahoma and Texas joining our great conference. Just makes it that much stronger. But it's kind of interesting for me because as I go to the SEC meetings and we're down in Destin and spend some time, and you run into so many good friends, so many good people. I'm so familiar with both Texas and Oklahoma. Obviously with OU, Brent Venables. I've known Brent since he played his first year coaching and worked with my brothers, and been very close to Brent for a long time, and Joe Constiglione, and even the president, Joe Harris, who's very close with Bob. And then, you go over to Texas even, and Sark and I go back to competing against each other way back when we were in the West, playing out West, and I was at Arizona, and he was at USC in Washington, and crossed paths many times. And, Chris Del Conte at Texas, who was with us at Arizona. And so there's just so many good friendships, and obviously me being in the league for so many years, get along so well and have such respect for all the coaches that are in our conference. And of course, we welcome Oklahoma and Texas, and make us that much stronger. And, it's difficult, but we embrace that. You're going to see 3 of our players here today. Marcus Cox, an offensive lineman, De'Eric Jackson, a linebacker from Georgia, and then Deion Walker, who's a special individual. All these guys are very good players. I hope you get a minute to visit with them. Unique stories, great leaders, great people, and I'm very excited for them to be here and experience this wonderful event. Wouldn't be SEC Media Days if I didn't have to talk about a new offensive coordinator. So, those of you, you know that, Bob, right? I'm very excited about Bush Hammond. He comes to us from Boise. I've known Bush for a while. I actually talked to him 3 or 4 years ago. I love the influence. He's got a background of working with Coach Drink, who I have a tremendous respect for. He's worked with Coach Sark. He's been around and did a great job at Boise, and very excited about Bush and what he's going to do. Tried to keep as much continuity as I could, but also wanted him to be very confident and do the things that he does to put us in a position to be successful. I think one of the things that helps us, they give us so much autonomy to work with our players now compared to the old days. We get to spend an awful lot of time, not only the spring practices, but they give us some other time to work with them. I think that'll help us, with the change and with the transition. Also have a new wide receiver coach in DeKeel Shorts, who comes to us from Houston. I love DeKeel and what he's done. He's a young guy, but he's very demanding. I feel like we need to take some steps in that area, and I like what I'm seeing from him. Also bringing back Eric Wolford. Coach Wolf and I worked together many years ago. Our first job at the University of South Florida. We were roommates and lived in a dorm and made $12,000 a piece, I think, at that point in time. But worked with me for one stay, and then went to Alabama for a few years and got him back. But I love what Eric brings, the mentality that he has, the toughness, and obviously the recruiting that he brings to it as well. Defensively, we're stable in that position. Brad White, our longtime defense coordinator, does an amazing job. Our staff is intact, and excited about what we have. 10 returning starters on defense and the continuity of our staff, and we're excited to make a jump. I think at times last year, we have a high standard of playing very good defense, and there was times last year, much like our team, we're a little bit inconsistent. We need to improve in that area. Jay Bullaware does an amazing job with our special teams and coaches our running backs. So I feel very good about the staff and the team. Just like everybody here, I had some messages here. I was really kind of coming in with a little edge, a little attitude about our team because we just want more. I think I talked about it last year, but where we're at, the margin for error, we have to make the best of every situation. And, there's been some consistency. I appreciate Greg just mentioning the fact, we have been to 8 straight bowl games. There's only 8 teams in the country that have done that. I think only 2 in the SEC besides us, Alabama and Georgia, and of course Oklahoma, who hasn't been in the league, but they've done it as well. But that's not nothing, but we want to improve. And that's the message with the team ultimately. We got to get better. We got to find a way to make those plays in critical moments to push us over the top. We're not interested in just existing. I'm not here, I'm not coaching, I'm not back for the 12 years just to exist. We want to find a way to improve, use these rules, whatever it is, to make changes, to make that jump, to get to the next level. It's extremely challenging. I don't have to tell you all that. You've been covering the SEC for a long time. It's extremely challenging, but it takes, us, individually, personally, every day. Everybody every day to do the little things to help us get to the next point. And the other thing is we're stronger together. I've listened to some of the some of the speakers, some of the coaches, but ultimately every coach that gets up here in some form or fashion talks about the culture of our program, what we want, what we're looking for, the unselfishness. We know the world that we're in. We all are getting used to it. We all are adapting to it. But we want to be extremely demanding, and we want selfless players, and we want to play better for each other. And yeah, we want to enjoy going to work. I love this team. I love going to work. I love the challenge of this season, and it's going to be fun. And that's ultimately, I know you all, and by the way, I appreciate you because this is, you're here, you've listened to 16 coaches. The commissioner introduced 16, I'm last, and thank you for being here. I know it's been a long week. But, ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. And, I'm excited about it. Like I said, I'm not, I'm proud of the things we have done. We just want more. We want to continue to push, and we're excited about it. I feel like we have the pieces in place. We feel like we have the staff in place, and we're motivated, we're excited, and we're ready to roll. And I think you all are tired of hearing a bunch of coaches speak, so I think I'll wrap it up and let you fire a few questions and wrap up this long week. But thank you for what you do. Yes, sir.
All right, Coach Stoops, thank you. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, Daniel, Nolan, and KD. We're going to start right back here in front, here to our left, third row.
Coach Anthony Dasher from UGAsports.com. Just kind of wondering, what do you continue to learn about Brock Vandagriff, how he's adjusted so far, and knowing he's such an avid fisherman, has he found any good spots around Lexington yet?
Yeah, he definitely could catch some fish, that's for sure. That was a big part of the recruiting pitch. But Brock, what I like about Brock is you saw him, for Georgia's sake, they won a lot of games, and so they're up a lot of points, and so they were able to work some of their backups, even at the quarterback position, because that's very difficult to do, is get QB reps. But when Brock was in there, even if they had a lead or anything, you just saw the way he operated. For us, that's a big deal. We've always been a pro-style offense, and so he was coached well there. It was complex. You know what I mean? He was doing the right things, and he could come in and handle our situation, whether I made an offense coordinator change or Liam had left or whatever happened in that. I forget exactly where it was in that moment, but we felt very good about him being able to handle everything that we're going to ask him to do. He obviously has the talent. He just needs to get under center and get some reps.
Coach, we'll go right down front here to Bob in the front row.
Hey, Mark, how you doing? They save the best for last, right?
That's right, Bob.
Hey, you've all these SEC coaches means you go to every year. You've seen a lot of guys come and go. You know, Greg alluded to. Now you're the dean of SEC coaches. Well, what do you think about that? Because that's no small accomplishment in this league. Just your thoughts on that.
Well, thanks for the question, Bob. It also jarred something that I had on my notes that I want to get to. But as far as being the longest tenured coach in the SEC, I think it's an accomplishment by a lot of people. Our administration have been very supportive for a very long time. There's a lot of coaches that have come and gone that have worked tirelessly to help put us in this position, and a lot of players that have dedicated a lot. I feel very fortunate, very blessed. I want to continue to succeed. Like I said, I don't look down on some of the things we've done. I mean, there's things that are fingertips that Tony Neely and Susan give me on the way here. But the other thing is like, since I want to say 2018, there's only 3 other schools that have more wins than us since 18. Again, that's not nothing. We want more. But, the consistency that you have to have in this league, it's difficult. There's some great schools, some great programs that have been up and down, and we've been relatively stable. Again, not good enough. I'm not very excited about. We had an opportunity last year to wrap up the season with 2 ranked wins, and we let one slip away in the bowl game against Clemson, and no more ifs and buts. We lost. And they made the plays and we didn't. And that's the motivation to go find the ways to do that. But thanks for jarring something in my mind as well, because I wanted to, in my opening statements, my notes right here, but I also had a note to send my condolences to Lane Kiffin and the Kiffin family. Monty, being a defensive guy, just a legend, and a guy that all of us defensive coaches have always looked up to. And there's things that we do that I still learned from him. And I had the opportunity, I went and interviewed for him when I was a really young coach, and didn't get the job, but I could tell you this, just from the interview alone, it was unbelievably impressive. The detail, what he did, and how, he took you on the grass, and we worked out and did things. He was an amazing man, and a great experience for me just to go through an interview. It was one of the only interviews I went through and didn't get. But he's just an incredible person, and my condolences to Lane. Also Coach Saban, I just want to recognize him by retiring. I've been in the league now 12 years, and I really enjoyed being around Coach and listening to him in meetings. And, a lot of people ask me, what he's like, or, thinking that he's overbearing or, demanding in there. Don't get me wrong, Coach is passionate at times, but, always it was never about self-interest. To me, he always was worried about college football. He was worried about the betterment of college football and making young people better. I truly believe that. And listening to him and the arguments, debates that we've had for 12 years, and just, the knowledge that he brought and still brings, people need to listen to, because, he's, one of a kind in what he's done. And congratulations to him for retiring and still being around it.
Coach, we'll go straight in front of me, my table, and about 4 rows back.
Hi, Travis Brown, KBTX.com. When the A&M job was open last year, were you offered it at all, and how close or not close were you to possibly taking it?
Yeah, I was pursued pretty aggressively by them, and we'll just leave it at that out of respect for everybody involved. There's a lot of people, over the years, and, a lot of interactions between people, but it was very brief. I was pursued. I had a job to do, and I take great pride in. There's only another stat that Tony gave me on the way here, but there's only been 19 coaches in the history of the SEC that have been 12 years at their institution. I'm proud to be a member of that group. I've been grinding at Kentucky for a long time, and very proud of that, and want to continue to do that. And again, we want more, but that's not nothing. The SEC's been around a long time with a lot of very good football coaches.
Coach, we'll go in the section just to your right, about on the aisle. Drew.
Yes, Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. Coach Stoops, I wanted to ask you about bringing Coach Shorts in from Houston, and Barry and Brown, who's I saw in high school an electric talent. He's done a great job as a kickoff returner for you, but been a little inconsistent as a receiver. As you hired him, what are you guys looking to do to improve Berrien's game?
Yeah, as I mentioned in my opening statement, very impressed with Tequil. Brought him in from Houston. Obviously he worked with Dana there, so he was taught really well. And he's done a very good job. I think with Berrien, Berrien knows he's a special talent and can do a lot of amazing things with the ball in his hand. He's worked really hard to become a more complete player. And really, I really appreciate the grind that he's going through, because he knows there's just a lot of little details and a lot of things he's got to focus on. He's been so talented that he's always relied on that, and he's been much more consistent and working really hard. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it translates to the field.
Coach, we're going to go over to our left-hand side on this near aisle.
Mark Nick Roush, KSR. The SEC has really steered into the offensive gurus, if you will, for head coaches since you started your time here. 12 of the 16 coaches are former offense coordinators, play callers, quarterbacks, coaches. What are the challenges of being a defensive guy in a league that is so clearly running and chasing after that offense?
Yeah, I think it's challenging, in this league and in any league, as a defensive head coach or a defensive coordinator in general. Offenses are so creative, the speed at which they operate sometimes, the players that they have, the athletes, it's a challenge. It's different. I always, prided myself on, being a great DB coach first and then translating and being a defensive coordinator. But it's different. I've been a head coach for 12 years. Offenses are different than when I was as a defensive coordinator. So we got our hands full. There's a lot going on, a lot of misdirection, a lot of skill, and it's a great challenge. And so I don't know if I give you a direct answer on that, but we're trying. We're grinding away and trying to be the best. I think obviously Coach Saban left a pretty good example, and Kirby's not doing too bad either.
Coach, we'll go back over the section to the right in the center.
Coach, Emily Grace McWhorter from the next round. Due to the injuries on your defensive line, have you seen any younger guys step up to fill those voids in a leadership role? Yeah, we're going to have to. We really felt really good about the depth of our defensive line. It took a little hit in spring, and even at one position in Josiah Hayes and Tavion Gadsden was a young guy that we were really hopeful for. Looking forward to seeing him, and both of them took an injury in the spring. We'll see when they get back, but we feel like we have some depth, and some guys are stepping up and working hard, and it's pretty good to anchor it with big number 0 with Dion in there. So we feel like we'll be all right.
Okay, we'll go down the center aisle, John.
Hey, Mark, John Hoover, Sooners on SI. Wonder if you could elaborate a little bit on your relationship with Brent and maybe some similarities you've seen as his coaching career has evolved between him and Bob and him and Mike as well.
Yeah, I think, Brent, we've obviously, I think, I saw something the other day where he was talking about, it was on the Sooner Insider or one of those things on the SEC network, but, Brent was, almost like I don't want to say a brother or cousin or whatever, but he was very close to the Stoops family for sure, Bob and Mike. And, he played at Kansas State with Bob and then watched him get into the profession. And both Bob and Mike had a lot of confidence in him and gave him some opportunities in coaching early because he earned them and they believed in him. And obviously he's produced. So I just think from afar, myself, have great admiration for what he's doing, and certainly proud that he's taken over Oklahoma and doing such a great job, because the Sooners will always have a special place in all of our hearts for the time and effort that Bob and Mike both put in there, and our family rooting for him for so many years, and Brent's going to do a great job there. So it's just fun to have somebody and care about, still in that position.
Coach, we're going to go over to our right-hand side, over to the right on the...
Hey, Mark. Aaron Gershon, Caspaz.
Yeah.
I was wondering, how do you feel about the cornerback position across the field from Max and in the slot? What did you learn in the spring, and then what does DJ Waller add there?
Yeah, DJ Waller, is a guy transfer from Michigan. I like DJ. He's great length. We need some size back in our secondary, and JQ, is getting better. Nasir, at corner, I feel like could make a big jump this year as well. And Jansen Dunn is another guy that's he's done some good things at nickel. We feel like he's making some progress. Can play corner. Of course, Maxwell. We think the world of him. He's a difference maker. He's an elite player, a guy that'll play on Sundays. And so, I feel like we have more depth than we've had. And, it jumped up and bit us a little bit last year. But, again, no whining, no crying, no excuses. Everybody in here has injuries, and it hurt us a little bit late, but we better go fix it.
Which will go right back up front here to Bob in the front row.
Mark, we actually had a two-part. Before I forget, do you mind sharing which job you interviewed with Monty Kiffin for? Was it with the Bucks? Or?
With Monty?
Yes.
Yeah, it was with the Bucks.
Okay.
When Coach Gruden was there.
And then I think if I got this right, you got 9 stars back on defense. In this day and age of the portal, that's pretty rare. Yeah. How do you feel about that and just your defense for this season?
Yeah, I like our defense. I like the group. I like the leadership. As I mentioned from a previous question, I feel like there's some young guys on the defensive line that we're continuing to progress. We just addressed the cornerback situation. I feel like we've made some improvements there, and some young guys are growing up, hit the portal. So overall, we feel like it's a good group. You need the depth. It's a long season. And you need some impact players, and we have some experience, with JJ coming back up front, and Dion, and Trayvon Ripka, and Octavius Oxidine, so we feel very good about that. We got a transfer in Georgia with Pop Johnson. Pop's an impact guy. He's a big physical dude, and we needed that. I think we hit the portal. We hit the portal at every position except tight end. We felt like we had really good depth there, but we didn't go too heavy in that. I want to say maybe 12, 14, and over the 2 years we have 26 transfers, so it's been a good mixture for us. We hadn't had to dive into it, too heavy, but certainly supplemented our roster, and it's helped us in this past year. Like I said, we dipped into the portal for every position with the exception of tight end.
If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you. Come on up, and I think Bob's got a follow-up, so we'll go ahead and hit him here in the front row.
Thanks. I actually had 2. I don't want to wear this guy out, so maybe I could ask him back to back. Although he looks like he's young and in very good shape. I think most years, I haven't studied it, but most years you get to play, 2 or 3 non-conference games. This year, I think you jump into South Carolina game 2 and
Georgia.
Georgia game 3. What are your thoughts on 2 SEC games so early? And then I'd probably be remiss if I didn't ask you your thoughts on your guy, John Calipari, going from Kentucky to Arkansas.
Yeah. With jumping into the league play so early, first of all, our, entire focus, and it's not just coach speak, you got to be ready for game 1, on the 31st against Southern Miss. And, but with the league games coming up so quick, you better be a little bit conscientious of how you're handling camp, what you're doing, where you're prioritizing your time, and making sure you're prepared to play some big games very early. It's a long season. It works both ways. Last year, we had the opportunity, to play some non-conference games and build into it. And then I'll be honest, it was pretty difficult, to go, 7 or 8 straight SEC games. That's a brutal stretch, and takes its toll on you mentally and physically. So this year it's mixed in a little bit better. And of course, we always end the season with Louisville, and we're in the, and they had such a tremendous season, such a good program. They were very good last year, and we're fortunate to go up, on the road and beat them to cap the season. But that's tough after a tough SEC gauntlet. And with Coach Cal, I wish the best for him. You know, really, you know, he and I have had a really good relationship for a long time. You know, there's one little blip on there, but, you know, there's nothing. We're both big boys. We're both friends and have spoken, and I'm sure he'll be successful at Arkansas and wish him nothing but the best. Matter of fact, his son, you know, just saw Brad in Lexington, you know, a couple weeks ago. He was through recruiting or doing something, and spent some time talking with him. So they'll do very well.
Coach, we'll take one last question over here to my left-hand side and third row.
Mark, Adam Luck at KSR. Tyrese Fury kind of popped in the bowl game. What is his potential as an edge rusher, and what are y'all looking for from him? And kind of on Bob's question there, 2 bye weeks this year. Is that something you and other coaches maybe would like to see more often? I know it's kind of dealing with the calendar, but maybe a schedule tweak since we're tweaking everything else.
Yeah, Tyrese, you know, did make some gains last year, and we need him to. We need that edge rusher. We need J.J. Weaver to really be consistent. He showed flashes for years. He's been around a while with a lot of experience, and we expect a lot out of J.J. this year. But Tyrese is a guy that also is stepping up, and we need him to. We need to get back to having that edge pressure, you know, and be able to, you know, at times, you know, be able to rush forward and get the pressure you need and play coverage behind it. You know, there's obviously a mixture and a balance there that we're always fighting. And with the buys, you know, again, it is what it is. You know, so, you know, I do look at it each year, you know, how we prep, you know, how we go about our business, trying to tweak things to make sure we come back and play well, because that wasn't always the case. I'm well aware of that. I know certainly some of you that cover us on a regular basis, you know, understand that. And I look at, you know, things every year and just try to make sure we put our players in a position, you know, to be successful and don't just stay status quo, you know, especially if the results aren't what we're looking for. So want to make sure we utilize the bye weeks as best we can. There's always a balance there because you want to get some recruiting in. You want to give your players some rest. It's a long season. Get them healthy, but you also need to get better.
Coach Stoops, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you all very much.